You're listening to an ASCI Lounge podcast.
This is Talking Supply Chain, where we tackle the most important supply chain topics and trends with the industry's best and brightest. Welcome back to the ASCI Lounge. I'm Monique Fanek from Australasian Supply Chain Institute, and joining us on the ASCI Lounge today is Colm Donnelly, General Manager of DHL. Welcome, Colm.
Yeah, thank you.
It's great to have you join us today. You're an experienced supply chain manager, so much so that you're responsible for you're the GM of operations for the Vaccine Rollout across Australia, which is really exciting to hold that responsibility. Congratulations for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you do have 20 years of experience in operations across multiple sectors, and Colm, it's great to hear that you'll be speaking at an upcoming conference called the Supply Chain Innovation Summit, to be held next week, 26th to the 28th of May. ASCI is the endorsement partner for that conference, awarding delegates for continued professional development points. Will you be face-to-face at that conference, or is this more you're tuning in from the wire?
No. I will be face to face. I'll be attending. Dependent on operations and how it's going, I'll try and get there for the 3 days, but obviously I'll be definitely there for 1 day.
Well, I'd love to hear more about the topic that you'll be presenting on, but before we do that, I'll just run through our listeners some of your career history. You have 20 years of experience, as I mentioned, but you were GM for supermarkets in the UK from 2001 and was recruited into Australia by Coles Supermarkets in 2006 to work through their supply chain transformation. That in itself will be an interesting story to tell. But after 6 years there, you became a director of Star Trek, looking after their 6 warehouses across Australia, and after 3.5 years became the head of supply chain for Ingham's, who since have been purchased by private equity. And then after 2 years, you worked as a...
It was actually the private equity that I was with.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes. And then after 2 years, you worked as a commercial supply chain solution manager for Scott's Transport.
Yes.
So it's a well-deserved role that you're currently in. And, it'd be very, very exciting to meet you over those 2 days at the conference. So this is Accolade's 5th annual Supply Chain Innovation Conference. It's at the Langhams, Sydney, and to get your tickets to that, you can access the tickets via the link in this podcast. So tell us more, Colm, about what you'll be talking about at the conference.
Yeah, I think the theme for myself was how do we attract young people to come into supply chain? Like you've mentioned a couple of times there, 20 years. And the problem is the majority of people in supply chain have been 20, 25 years. And you'll find a lot of our age people within the industry. And it's struggling to attract young people into the industry. They don't see it as a glamour industry. And I've been through a series of examples myself where I've mentored year 12 students, for example. And on the 3rd year of mentoring year 12 students, I wasn't asked back the 3rd year because nobody's interested in supply chain. And it's something that I'm extremely passionate about because it's given me a great career, great opportunity, to come the other side of the world and operate. And it's afforded a lot of people a lot of great lifestyles, but it's kind of a closed business and people don't see the opportunities that exist within the whole of supply chain, whether it's such an interesting, diverse place to work. And people we're not encouraging young people to come into it. I've got 4 children myself, for example, and not one of them would come into supply chain, which is concerning. So that's how much influence I have on them. But
oh dear.
I do think it's the way the business is moving ahead with automation across the country, which is a common theme. Everybody's changing to automation and AMRs. I'm hoping we can go out to the business and attract them more in a scientific engineering component, into the industry, because I think the future is there, the opportunities are there, the jobs are there, but it's just trying to get that right caliber and putting that right level of investment into them and training them, taking them in and not just throwing them out on the floor and saying, look after these 20 people and we'll tell you what we can do. We need to develop them. A good couple of examples I'm going to use with you is Coles have a graduate scheme. Coles have a really, really strong graduate scheme, so do Ingham's. When the graduates come in, they tend to do the 6-month tours around the place. Not one of them stay in supply chain because they see the glamour of the marketing or the glamour of, the sales or the accountants, whichever it is. And so we lose all those graduates. They come and they actually see it as just a rite of passage. I have to do this, not that I want to do this. And it's how do we work with those people to keep them engaged and keep them focused. And I just think the business as a whole really struggles because we don't attract that young talent. So that's a long-winded answer, but that is how I feel about it.
No, I think a lot of our listeners who are our members resonate really, really well with what you've said there, Colm. And we partner with the Association for Supply Chain Management over in the US, and they've done a study. There's over 500 supply chain degrees around the world now. And so we're seeing a lot of graduates come through into the workforce, but what they're finding in their research is only 1 in 6 is ready to hit the ground running in a supply chain role. Not that they're very analytical and good at analysing data, but where they're falling down is the making good decisions based off of the data that they're able to pull. So definitely there are some gaps that we need to fill there, and like you said, make it sound as attractive as marketing and finance and some of the other silos and segments that they can go into within the organization. And that's something that ASCI is very passionate about too, and we have an ambassador program that helps those young people through our chapters, our regional chapters, be mentored up through and look for great opportunities for them. So I think you're right on point, and it's going to be a great presentation. What else is on the program that you're looking forward to?
Look, I think when I went through the agenda, and one of the things that attracted me, obviously, to speak at it is you've got your big players like your Woolworths and how they managed through the COVID crisis, for example, and the different things and aspects they had to take. And they've invested heavily in automation as well. So they've got the manual facilities, and they've got the automation, plus they've got the change going through of where they're changing from manual to automated, as do Coles. I know Coles are at the conference, but it's a similar scenario to Woolworths. I'm also looking forward to hearing from Seville's. I'm looking forward to hearing from Nestle. And I just think the beauty with this conference is it's such a mixed variety. I've got 2 graduates coming to the conference for 3 days from DHL, and I'm really excited to see what they take out of it, because they're 2 very intelligent graduates who are sitting doing analytics, so to speak, and I'm trying to show them the broader business, and I think that's where it starts. So they'll be coming, and I'm really, really keen to get their feedback on what they hear, because unless you go to these conferences, you genuinely don't know what's going on out in the business. You get siloed in your own work, as I do with vaccines, and I think it's really good to just keep abreast of what's happening in the rest of the business.
Good on you, Colm. Thank you for sharing that today. And hopefully, I'll see you there as well. I'll be there at the conference over the 2 days. I'll try catching up with you. Yeah. And please, everybody, have a look at the ticketing page on the link in this podcast and come along also. It's been great having you on the program. Would love to have you back again talking more about graduates and how we can get those graduates interested in supply chain management.
Yeah, thanks, Monique.
Okay, bye for now.
No worries, thank you.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe to our podcast today. For more information about our supply chain community, visit asci.org.au.